The left and the right in this country have flipped. What are they calling it? It's the realignment, I guess.
Flippening.
Yeah, the flippening or the realignment. So like 10 years ago, for instance, Julian Assange, biggest hero to the left, right? Now they hate his guts. A lot of leftists do, however, want him pardoned as well. So it's more like the neo-lib establishment left, who were never really the biggest fans of him for the most part anyway. But
no, nobody likes them.
Yeah, but they're the establishment. I think what really happened is that when Trump got elected, the establishment cronies from the Republican Party went to the Democrats, their next closest alignment. Yeah. But we are seeing an interesting alignment where, like, I guess you voted, is it public who you voted for?
Yeah.
You voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
See, like, for us, we're, I think, 10 years older than you. That would never happen. That's like, because Bush is essentially a neocon. He's a warmonger. He's an interventionist. He, as part of like the Obama administration, prosecuted more journalists and whistleblowers, than any other
under the Espionage Act, more than all the other presidencies before him combined.
Wow.
Yeah. So the left has become like the left has become the authoritarians. It used to be that the Republicans, like when I was growing up, were the moral authoritarians, and the authoritarians. George W. Bush started these wars, and they wanted to ban. Like I've got art downstairs where it's from the card game Magic the Gathering. And in the 90s, the right got some card art banned, had to be changed. Today, the banned cards I have now came from the left getting art banned. So it's like, it's flipped. The left is now very much so in support of these intelligence agencies for the most part. They're supporting Joe Biden. He's stacking his cabinet with lobbyists and corporatists and Goldman Sachs, all of the worst corrupt people imaginable. And it's like, that's exactly why I voted for Donald Trump. There's a reason why I went down to Occupy Wall Street and I was like, the system's broken. And there's a reason why I'm like, Joe Biden's a bad guy. Yeah. Because Joe Biden was vice president during Occupy Wall Street when all of these leftists were coming out and complaining. Interestingly enough, too, in 2016, we had the RNC and the DNC, right? Do you know the left didn't protest the Republicans? Do you know they protested?
Yeah.
The Democrats.
Really?
The left showed up in the thousands, tried storming the barricades to break into the DNC. Nobody went to the Republican convention. Trump was down there. I was in, where was that? Was that
Florida?
What? No, 2016. That was
Cleveland.
It wasn't Atlanta, was it?
No.
I
don't remember exactly.
Charlotte?
Yes, Charlotte. There was one in Charlotte. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Trump was there, and he's like, giving a speech to the Republicans where he says, these people, I think he was talking about the Pulse nightclub shooting. He said, there's a lot of people who have religious differences with this group, but these are Americans. These are our people, and they were attacked. And everyone starts clapping and cheering. Meanwhile, the Democratic National Convention, Bernie Sanders gets ripped off, and the left is like trying to knock the barricades down and jump over and storm into the building. So the left was protesting. Now the weirdest thing happens is you get like these faux progressive corporate, independent commentators on YouTube and such who are just like, the machine is right. My favorite thing is how like Rage Against the Machine, the band, is very much Rage for the Machine now, or Rage on behalf of the machine. They used to say things like, what's the famous line? F you,
F you, don't tell me.
I won't do what you tell me.
Yep.
Now they're saying, F you better do what we tell you.
Yeah.
How so?
So like lockdowns, for instance. The left is very much in favor of the lockdowns and a stimulus. Like that's the antithesis of where the left would have been a while ago. Definitely in favor of more socialist policies and stuff, but not letting the government just decree that we're going to bar you from leaving your homes, which they're doing and they're cheering for. I think my favorite thing about like Joe Biden is when he said "Trunin on a Shabbat of pressure" and the audience was cheering for him. It's like, now that's something remarkable.
Shout out to Cassandra Fairbanks for pointing that out.
Yeah. It's like hilarious. Everyone's cheering. What are they cheering for?
So weird.
Or Batakath care. I think, what happened is, I think you weren't old enough, and I mean this with no disrespect. You're 24.
Oh, it's fine.
You're 24, right?
Yeah.
Like Luke and I went through Occupy Wall Street. Luke actually questioned Democrats on Barack Obama drone bombing kids and things like that, and either got lied to or had people say like, yeah, well, he should have had a better father. Who was that? Was that Gibbs?
Yep, that's Barack Obama's spokesperson and his right-hand man throughout his entire political career, Robert Gibbs, who came out and literally got angry. He was like, he should have had a better father.
Yeah.
Like Obama dropped a bomb on a kid in a civilian restaurant.
16-year-old American citizen.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Obama was the VP. Biden was the VP. He was overseeing Iraq, and his brother got a lucrative multi-million-dollar contract for construction deals. It's like the amount of evidence that has come out against the Bidens, and it's just like completely ignored by the left because either they're just tribalists who don't care, And so they're like, I just want to win. And it's funny because they're the ones saying the cons just want to own the libs. I'm like, dude, you just want to own the cons. That's all you want to do.
It's so funny hearing you say this because with my experience, I feel like I've seen the same exact thing happen on the right.
Oh, the right just wants they want to own the libs. And there are
And
people
the
who go on
right's-
Twitter and just.
Do you think that the right is like heavily ideologically driven? Like I've found that the right tends to already have kind of a set of like presuppositions, and then they go out of their way to find support for their already held beliefs rather than the other way around, which is trying to approach it neutrally and then forming your opinion based
That's
on.
both the left and the right.
Do you think it's both?
It's absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like.
Oh yeah,
Like,
I would agree that it's both for sure. That's why that's why I like to.
But
be in
right
the center,
now,
right?
so right now, the right has more of the critical thinkers, and it's cancel culture. That's basically why. So you'll see, like, I was down at Occupy Wall Street. I didn't agree with a lot of them because they were very just like they're extremely racist people. Like it was one of the most racist things I've ever experienced at Occupy, and but there were a lot of economic populists there who weren't necessarily in line with the weird racism stuff, and there were fights over it. I think the left has become like predominantly racist relative to where the right is.
How so?
So Occupy Wall Street, they segregated voting blocks based on race.
Well, that I just can't even speak on that since.
But would you agree that's racist? To be like, we're going to allow you to vote for how things are run here, but we want all of the brown people here, all the black people here, all the Mexicans here, and all the Asians here, and you're all separated based on your color, and you can vote. Only one vote per group, no matter how many of you there are.
Wow. Yeah, that's
so
weird.
if you have like, you think that's fair?
No. I said that's weird.
Oh, right. So that's what's happening at these universities with like critical race theory stuff. So they'd be like, there's 10 white people, 3 Asian people, and 15 black people. You all get 1 vote based on your race. So you get 3 votes, but that makes no sense because there's different numbers of people. That's what Occupy was doing. It's extremely racist. Yeah. And so that's when I started being like, what is this crazy stuff, man? Anyway, the left has become particularly authoritarian in their application of things.
Well, how have they become authoritarian? Besides the
lockdown. The lockdowns.
I mean,
so you also have cancel culture, right? But censorship, supporting massive private corporations. Corporations are essentially authoritarian structures.
How are they? I'm gonna have to ask you more about this.
See, I'm such a leftist, and you're such a conservative.
No, it's okay. It's just how are the leftists supporting corporations?
Censorship.
I mean
Donald
Trump gave tax cuts to corporations, right?
He gave tax cuts to everybody.
But substantially more so to the corporations.
But what's wrong with that?
That's
actually fairly libertarian.
Well, no, the problem with that was that he was going in there hoping that by lowering corporate taxes, we would see more businesses coming back to the U.S., but that's just not what happened.
Well, the economy did do ridiculously well in 2019.
But that wasn't because of Trump.
Why not? Who was it because of?
It was because it's an economical fact that after a recession, the economy always comes back stronger.
After a recession 10 years ago?
Yeah. Go ahead, look up the...
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying if you can't give it credit to Trump, then you can't blame George Bush for the recession. You can't blame Obama for the recovery.
What did Trump do to help with the economy? What did Trump do more specifically even to help with unemployment?
Tariffs. There were immigration raids on processing plants, which resulted it's a variety of factors. But
tariffs didn't do that. That cost American taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars
in subsidies
per job, bringing back to the U.S.
Right. That's true. That's the point. That's how the economy works. So if you want to save money for the businesses and the elites, then you allow them to send their jobs to China, for instance, where they pay people garbage and there's human rights abuses. Mm-hmm. Lowering, so let's take a look at what Joe Biden, his plan is. There's 2 big things. He wants to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour, and he wants to raise corporate taxes by about 10%. Okay. If you go to a corporation, a manufacturer, say someone who makes socks, and say, we're going to raise your taxes by 10%, you've got to pay all of your employees 30% more. They're going to be like, dude, you're squeezing me dry. I can't afford, how am I supposed to do this? Don't worry. We're going to have a free trade agreement, and you're going to be able to run your factory in China. That's what Obama was doing, and it worked.
When was the last time minimum wage went up?
Very, very long time ago.
So should it be increeed?
No.
Even though it hasn't been adjusted for inflation or anything?
Yes. So there's a bunch of problems outside of outside of the minimum wage, and the minimum wage is not a solution to the problem. Okay. You need to sit down and talk with like a small business accountant, because that's exactly what I did to better understand the issue. I talked to an accountant who represented like 300 small businesses, and I said, we have a problem because people don't have money to spend right? If they can't spend money, businesses can't take in money, then they can't pay taxes and they can't hire people. So we want the machine to flow. And yes, completely correct. However, a hard increase of 30% or so, because this is what we saw in New Jersey. He said, here's what happens. He's like, I just lost 30% of my clients. They shut down their businesses. Why? These people who run these small businesses, they're corporations too, and they have like 10 employees. But the owners aren't rich by any stretch of the imagination. Mm-hmm. They might be paying their employees $10 an hour because all they can pay. And then the guy who runs the business is only getting $50,000 a year. Mm-hmm. He's making a modest salary for him and his family. Well, then all of a sudden they come in and say, increase your wages, your costs by 30% plus employment taxes. Right. And all of a sudden this guy's only been making $20,000 a year and he says, I can't afford that. I'd rather just go work as a manager, at corporate for Walmart or something. Mm-hmm. So that has the impact, specifically in New Jersey when they passed this law. Is when I went to an accountant to ask him, mm-hmm. Tell me what's going on. He said he lost a ton of business, accounts were canceled, and businesses just shut overnight. Mm-hmm. You can't force the economy to just increase. There's one good thing about the minimum wage, and it's about exports. If everybody in the U.S. is getting $15 an hour, mm-hmm. that means everybody can afford something made in China better. And that's been one of the biggest strategies of Joe Biden. If we increase the minimum wage, increase corporate taxes, we'll have all our factories go to China, because Joe Biden and Obama were very much in favor of these free trade agreements, notably the TPP, and now the new agreement that they've recently negotiated without us. Joe Biden's going to get us in that day one. We're going to lose our jobs here. But the good thing is it will make it so that somebody who works at McDonald's who makes $15 an hour can more easily afford the iPhone made by the slaves in China. See, I think that's horrifying, and ultimately it's a downward trajectory where we lose all of our jobs. And then eventually America just sustains itself off of printing petrodollars. And that can only work so long as we're blowing other people up and threatening them that if they disagree with our, say, building an oil pipeline or natural gas pipeline through Syria, mm-hmm. then we arm the rebels in Syria to destroy the government and wipe out whole cities, which is basically what happened.
Right. But I mean, I don't think that all the corporations would go to China.
No, the manufacturing ones, the ones that could.
Maybe.
So Trump's...
Do you know that, just out of curiosity, for the Joe Biden $15 minimum wage, do you know if that's just across the board, or does that only apply to certain corporations?
Don't know for sure. And to be honest, I don't think he would do it. I think he would fail and he would try.
What we should do instead is give employees like a percentage of corporate profit. That way they only get extra money if the corporation.
That's Bernie Sanders' policy.
Yeah, that's like worker co-op stuff, right?
But I'm not.
That way it wouldn't extort the business. Wouldn't run them out of business because they're already making the money.
I completely disagree.
That's like, isn't that market socialism? Is that what it?
That's Bernie's platform.
That's like worker co-op stuff, right? Where everybody works.
It's completely bad idea.
But keep it. You'd have to do it in some sort of scalar form.
I'm not educated in that. I'm not about to support or deny.
Do you know why the farms failed in these socialist revolutions and these communist revolutions?
Depends on the revolution.
Well, basically
and
every
the Chinese
time.
One, it's because they made a bunch of scientists go do the farming. A bunch of artists, people that didn't know how to farm.
Exactly.
And they killed birds.
That was funny.
Yes.
And they told everyone to melt down their tools or whatever. This is a bunch of weird stuff. When you take a bunch of people who don't know how to do something and then give them control over a system, and they can't do it, it failed. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. So come back to check us out when we go live. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, and we are also available on all podcast platforms for free if you want to listen to us there. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all next time.